Little intro I wanted to do for the fireside chat. Yana, are you ready to start the stream?
I think I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. So this is live streamed on YouTube as well. We used to live stream on Twitter as well, but of course now we're doing the Twitter Spaces, so that's even better. So thanks for joining. Share the tweet from ENF earlier this morning, which is the retweet contest, and also shares the link. Let's get more people joining this Twitter Spaces. The more people join, the higher the likelihood that Twitter will share this event with other people in the Twitter community. So that's kind of a big reason why we're hosting it on Twitter Spaces this week, is to expand our reach outside of the core EOS community that usually shows up, that is always there on Discord, but I'm sure we can reach more people on Twitter. And I really enjoy these conversations every week with you guys. We go over the biggest pieces of news, of the week, as well as, of course, the open mic session where anyone is free to, raise their hand, jump in, ask a question, share a comment, etc. Okay, so the agenda for today, we've got a few topics on deck. The biggest one, I think, is the Wired article from earlier this week. That was published on Wired, talking about EOS, Block 1, the 4 billion DAO, and all that. So we'll cover that later today. We'll be talking about Eden with Chuck, one of the chief delegates for Eden for this period, is with us today. He'll be sharing some news about Eden. Quick update on Pomelo, what's going on there. Of course, we can't host a Twitter Spaces event today in the blockchain space and not talk about the Luna implosion. Real sorry. I know many people in the community were holding Luna or UST. I know some of my friends were. They're feeling pretty wrecked right now. So, real sorry for your loss if that's the case. We'll be talking a bit about maybe the impacts to the wider market and the impacts to EOS with this, surrounding this event. We've got EOS support conducting a survey. We'll share some more thoughts about that later. We've got some Coalition Plus meeting updates, Mandel Upgrade meeting updates, and a bit of Yield Plus updates as well. And of course, any other topic you guys want to bring to the table, feel very free. You can request to chat here on in Twitter Spaces. So it's not like Discord where you can just jump in at any time. We do need to approve you. But of course, if you want to chat, just put in that request. We'll get you up on stage, and you can participate in the conversation today, which we, of course, like when you guys do that. I see a lot of activity in the stream chat on Discord. Love to see it. So if you're out there, write your EOS account name with a money sign in front of it, and then that signs you up for the pop token distribution that happens later today. All right, that was a big intro. Let's invite some people on stage. We've got Brandon as a speaker. Brandon, how are you doing today?
Excellent. How are you doing? That was a great intro. I thought you covered all the bases.
Good stuff. All right, we're going to invite regular speakers. We got Yves invited you to the stage. Zach could not join us today, unfortunately. But I'm sure it'll be a great show. We've got Daniel Keys in the house, Dogman, Denis Carriere, Red Kid, a lot of new names on Twitter Spaces. I like to see, of course, a lot of regulars that are usually in these fireside chats: Chris Barnes, Hernan, Ted, Chuck, Creamy Vanilla. We've got some new listeners like Taylor Riker, EOS Mania, Glue Dog. Happy to see you in here. Yeah, looks like we've got a decent amount of people. I'm not even sure how many people are in right now, but looks like a decent amount. We've got a few requests to speak. Excellent. I'll approve you, HK, and I'll approve you, Daniel. All right, so let's. So I'm going to start it off with talking about the Wired article that was published this week. It's rare that I see an article that is published that is accurate about EOS, that does not omit any important information or aspects about EOS, and that is written in a way that kind of matches my sentiment on the topic. So this Wired article, published in Wire, tweeted on their account to their 10 million followers, actually hit those 3 marks for me. And it may be the first time in 3 years that an article published by a third party, publication actually got it right, where it's accurate, they include all the relevant information, and it reflects my sentiment. So I don't know if anyone here wanted to maybe share some thoughts that they had on the article, or maybe the reception that it had inside and outside the community.
I thought it was a great article. It was awesome to see on Wired too. I think of all the tech publications out there, I think Wired is the best one I could think of to give exposure to EOS. And you mentioned, I agree, it's rare that we see articles about EOS that are accurate, complete, kind of in line with the community sentiment. And it's great that the first time that happened is on such a prominent publication. So it's clear to me that they're pros at Wired. They got some real legit journalists there doing some real investigative journalism.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very refreshing to see. I know they're doing really their due diligence in terms of sources, and when they have an anonymous source, they try to get some non-anonymous sources to corroborate whatever they're saying. So apparently it was a bit hard to get some ex-Block 1 employees to commit publicly to various statements, but they worked hard at it, and they managed to do a really good job, and it came out really professional. And I think it's going to shed some light on the current situation of EOS, to a lot of people that may not be aware and that may be interested. So kind of on that topic, over the last week, I kind of did a purge of our EOS Nation Twitter follows and kind of removed anyone that's not related to EOS anymore. And I sent out some message to some people that I know were in the community before, but haven't been active lately. And I did get a few responses when I shared the update of the network kind of firing Block 1 last year, the ENF being created, and then delivering on all these initiatives in parallel. I got a lot of positive feedback from users that weren't aware of what's going on and that were interested in learning more after I gave them this update. So hopefully this Wired article does that on a wide basis and reaches a lot of people, maybe inside the blockchain community, but not the EOS community. We know those people have a lot of preconceived notions that are factually incorrect about EOS. Hopefully that helps fix some of that. And of course, hopefully we attract some new people from outside the blockchain space as well to get interested in EOS. We have a request from Yves to speak. Yes, I grant you permission, Yves. Or I'm trying at least.
Having a hard time figuring this out.
There we go, we got it. You're live on Twitter Spaces, but now you're muted again.
We heard you there for a second, Yves. It looks like you muted yourself.
Yeah, I just don't know why my headphones keep disconnecting, so I don't know what the sound is going to be like. And I guess
it's all right.
I was out of sync with what you were saying when I was switching between speaker and listener. There's a delay in between both, so I'm not sure where you left off.
Yeah, I just left it off saying that, hopefully this Wired article is going to bring nice exposure to many people outside of the EOS space to really inform them on what's actually going on and all the exciting and positive developments that have happened over the last few months.
I mean, yeah, Wired has been working on this article now for months, and it's been one of the most difficult things was to get people on record to speak about the subject. And so there were many people that were off the record willing to talk, but not on the record out of fear of reprisal. And so whether or not this article now opens the door for others to come forth is going to be interesting. And I think what kind of came out in that article, and that at this point is no longer disputed, and there are a few people that went on record to say this at the highest levels, was that Block One was intentional in their pursuit of greed. This was intentional. This was the design from the onset. And that essentially the EOS community rejected the Theranos, Elizabeth Holmes-like behavior, and since then has established its own path with a set of community-driven values at its core, and that the EOS community essentially did not or stood up to that and did not accept that as behavior. And this is but one piece of what hopefully will be a series of pieces that will keep digging deeper into this particular subject. And I guess even just to get this article out, there was a lot of pressure, external legal pressure, trying to prevent that from going out. And as you mentioned, this is not a subset of Wired. This is not just one person. This is not like a subsidiary or a third party. This is Wired. This is Wired.com. This is the 10.2 million follower account. The person that wrote this piece is in charge of this. So when you look at even on Wired, it's in the business section. This is quite substantial. More to come.
All right. Thanks for sharing some of those insights. If some of you didn't get the reference to Theranos, I believe Theranos was a company that was promising to be able to detect cancer through blood tests, simple blood tests, but apparently it was a lie from the beginning. But they pumped their stock, and it had an impressive rise and then impressive crash down into lawsuits and fraud accusations.
Not fraud accusations. They were convicted. Elizabeth Holmes was convicted of fraud. Later on this year, she is awaiting her sentence, and we are talking jail time.
Well, there you go.
So there is such a thing as aspirational language, which is okay. So you can aspire to do something, but at some point, and you can be negligent in achieving that something. So you could aspire to do X, and you actually try to do X, but you fail at doing X. That is okay. But when you, at some point, make promises and fail to deliver on those promises, but fail to also update the investors and the community members, etc., as to your, at that point, known capacity to not be able to deliver on those promises, it becomes fraud. And the largest known case that really symbolizes this is Theranos and Elizabeth Holmes. They even made a movie about it on Netflix. That behavior is no longer accepted. That is not acceptable. At some point, if you know you're not going to be able to deliver on something, but you, for whatever reason, willingly, and this is where the difference lies, is at some point it no longer becomes negligence and it becomes willful and intentional. That becomes fraud, and that is illegal.
There you go. So hopefully we get some more articles from Wired that digs deeper into this this whole situation with Block One and the promises they made to the EOS community and to the EOS network. Did anyone else have some thoughts on this article that they might want to share? I see we're up to almost 70 people in the Twitter Spaces. That's great. I think we're already beating our usual numbers on Discord. So thanks for joining, everyone. And yeah, gonna remind you again to share the tweet from ENF from this morning, the retweet contest tweet. Let's get some more people in here. Let's spread the news and let's keep growing the EOS community. Not sure how the elevator music strategy is going to work here on Twitter Spaces, since you guys can't just jump in, but you can request to speak at any time. So definitely invite you guys to do that, especially those especially those that weren't joining us on Discord because you're not on that platform. That's fine. But if now that you're here, please at least just jump in real quick. Just say hi to the EOS community. We always love to hear from you guys. So maybe I'll just use this elevator music while I transition between topics here. Oh, we got a chat request coming in. Love it. Hernan, let's get you on stage. There we go. Should be ready to roll, Hernan.
Hey everyone, just dropping here to say hi, joining the community. So I had a great chat with Yves earlier today. I hope we can share more details on any of that soon. But I wanted to just maybe start the debate on the Luna implosion, because I think that's what's on everyone's mind, because I think that justifies a bit of a discussion, especially since we were also thinking of doing something like a UST algorithmic stablecoin EOS. But I just want to share my experience. If you've been following my tweets, I started noticing something just through a rumor on a Discord that there was a lot of FUD, and the thing was depegging. So I went, checked it out, and so in full disclosure, I had most of my stables in UST. I just deposited not long ago to on Anchor, and then when I heard about it, I decided to take action. And so I got my UST out, and I managed to get out at around 98 cents or something like that. And I said, maybe I'm just being paranoid, right? But I'd rather take the loss and avoid the risk. And I had no idea of what was about to take place. So what I'm hearing is that I think it was a coordinated attack by, I think, BlackRock and another huge hedge funds that asked for a UST loan from Do Kwon, and then once they got that, started shorting the market like crazy. So I'm just wondering, and what do you guys think, if the whole call for institutional money that we were calling for during the last bull run, institutions coming in, and so I think so institutions are here, and that's how they play. And I know it sucks, but I guess we have to build more resilient systems. What do you guys think?
Hey, thanks for joining, Hernan, and thanks for introducing the topic on everyone's mind today, the Luna implosion. Absolutely epic. I woke up this morning at like 3 or 4 a.m. real quickly, and then just checked check the portfolio real quick. And I didn't hold Luna, but I had it on my portfolio app just to see what's going on. And and then I was up for a few hours on Twitter, kind of just in awe of what was going on. I'm sure many of you guys in here have some thoughts or comments. Please jump in, share your thoughts. If you got wrecked and you want to share and you get some sympathy from the community, I'm sure we're here to support you. Or if you avoided it by the skin of your teeth, like Hernan, you want to share that story, go for it. I'm going to wait for some people here to join the chat before I comment some more.
And by the way, I still hold a bit of Luna and some ANC, and I did not think that the whole ecosystem was going to just implode on itself. I thought, maybe this is just a temporary depeg or something. So I guess I acted well on instinct, but I know that a lot of people got wrecked and are still very afraid of. They don't know what to do, if it's going back to peg or to hold it or sell it at a loss. But it's a whole. I think it's huge drama and the implications that this will have on other stable coins. Because if they're starting to look at Tether or USDC, and then FUDs goes there, and it's it can have broader implications the whole crypto market.
Definitely, this is a big event for all of crypto. For regulators, they're gonna bring this up every single day that they talk about crypto, I'm sure, for years to come. And but yeah, I mean, I've got some more thoughts, but I don't want to share them just yet. Really would like to hear from you guys. So I'll let you guys jump in here on the stage.
Not much to share, just that I saw a lot of people comparing the magnitude of this in terms of how it impacts the crypto community to Mt. Gox. Back in the earlier, less mature era of crypto, that Mt. Gox effect had a huge impact on the confidence of the whole crypto community, and I see a lot of people drawing parallels with this event to that.
Except with a bit little different, that I think that the hacker of the Mt. Gox is still not I don't know if he's founder of the end. It was kind of a hack, and this was BlackRock and some, they're hedge. So it's like I don't know if it's BlackRock, right? I don't want to point fingers, but in order to borrow 100K BTC for a short, it's not like it's not a small pocket, so it had to be a large institution, and it's like a blatant attack, right, on regular holders. It's I think it's it's disgusting. I don't know if that's gonna have implications, because I'm thinking no one in the financial world is gonna go after big pockets like those, but maybe there is something that can be done. I know Yves is not afraid of going after big pockets, so not throwing you in the water.
Nice. Been meaning to use my
yeah.
Yeah, I've been waiting weeks for a well-timed rim shot. Thanks, Hernan. We got a few new speakers. We got a Dogman that requested to speak. Welcome to the stage, Dogman. And Andrew Ware as well. If you guys want to say hi, feel free to do so.
Thank you, Stephane. And yeah, hey, Bray and Andrew. I heard you saying something. So would you like to say something first?
I'm glad you heard me. I wasn't sure if my mic was working. Currently emulating Android and on my computer, so glad it's working.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, one thought I had as far as this whole Luna situation is concerned. I'm not super into DeFi, so I've kind of stayed out of it. Not very good at evaluating what projects are legit and which ones aren't. But given the sort of incoming release of the Yield Plus paper, I'm interested to see what what things we can identify from Luna that are, well, I mean, there's some obvious ones, like if the pegged token goes down in price, they just mint more, and that's going to put incredible downward pressure on. But yeah, I'm just kind of curious, excited to see the Yield Plus paper. Maybe it'll help me understand DeFi a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it's a good segue, I think, Andrew, for the Yield Plus. The big thing is actually just asset security risk. So one of the things for regulators is to identify the types of stable tokens. So not all stable tokens are equal. There's different types of stable tokens with different associated risk with them. So some are reserve backed, like USDC. Some are over collateralized, so MakerDAO, or in EOS, the USN. And some are algorithmic, where they would be generated through some sort of mechanism like UST. But yeah, it's really just identifying asset security risk and seeing if the network, let's say in particular for Yield Plus, if the network wants to adapt that and sponsor the liquidity and promotion of that particular asset. So Luna was very healthy. It was a very healthy network. It just happens that, you know, it ended up in a sort of a very terrible bloodbath, but it was very healthy for many years or many months as well. So it's really for Yield Plus, it will be to identify which assets are healthy for the network with a reasonable asset security risk. Like Tether is let's say the lowest risk asset that EOS can have. But there is other stable tokens that will show up in the ecosystem that will be healthy. They're just going to have different risks and different sort of attack vectors. But I would say the over collateralized stable tokens are, let's say, the second tier of risk. So there's the reserved backed stable tokens. You know, $1 is in the bank account. You can redeem one token for $1. And then you have the over collateralized stable tokens, which are still in a form a stable token, just have a little slightly different risk. So I think for the Yield Plus is to identify and figure out which stable tokens that the network wants to sponsor, and is it healthy for the network to support that liquidity, incentives for liquidity for those tokens. So those will come in reports, quarterly or monthly, and the Yield Plus sort of team will have analysis and risk analysis on assets that Yield Plus would support.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's a nice point to mention is that not all stablecoins are the same, right? So, yeah. Like you mentioned, Maker and USN on EOS, those are over collateralized stablecoins. So that's really not what happened with the Luna UST. And we actually saw some nice gains for Maker in the last 12 hours, probably because the market is now kind of realizing that these algorithmic stablecoins may have more risk than they realize, and people are kind of flocking back to the over collateralized stablecoins. So which should bode well for USN on EOS, which is designed, from what I understand, in a similar way as Maker, where there's over collateralization. If their collaterals is worth too little, people can come in and liquidate those positions in order to kind of keep the peg for the stable coin. So I think we're definitely going to see a shift towards more of these types of stable coins in the near term. For the long term, I still think what Luna was trying to do, is something I think that eventually someone will figure out how to do in a way that doesn't implode. However, for Luna, to me, it did feel like it was going to implode. Someone called it a thermonuclear Ponzi a while back on Twitter. And I was like, yeah, that's a nice description about how I feel about Luna right now. If we're sharing some personal trading stories, I actually put the largest short of my life on Luna on March 25th, and then closed about a week later for a small loss. And then today happened. So I feel like I lost as well today, even though I wasn't exposed to Luna, closed my short too early once again. So Yield Plus, I think the timing is nice in terms of people are going to be paying a lot more attention to these DeFi protocols. And I think the way, DeFi Bots is doing it, but they're over collateralized stablecoin USN. And from what I understand, from what Yield Plus will be bringing to the table, we're not looking to go into the thermonuclear Ponzi game. Like Hernan mentioned, a lot of people were saying like, hey, we should do a coin like Luna. Luna's pumping to the moon for months and months, and it never stops. And we're not the only community that was discussing trying to imitate the success of Luna. So I'm sure that a lot of cold water has been poured on those plans today. But, you know, it's definitely not the end of DeFi. This is just another bump in the road, and there's going to be more bumps in the road, I'm sure, in the future, and crypto and DeFi and all that kind of par for the course with these super interesting, but of course, risky financial experiments people are running all over the blockchain space. Dogman, did you want to add some thoughts to the discussion?
Yeah, thank you, Stephane, and thanks everybody, and especially the talk about EOS Plus from Denis. That was really interesting. The thing that I was going to add, which is kind of going with what you're saying, Stephane, too, was Dan Larimer, who obviously is the creator of EOS. Last year, he came in the EOS chat and he spoke quite cautiously about Terra Luna. And somebody reposted some of the messages today, and I thought that was interesting. Might be helpful to look back at that at some point. But there's a lot of risk with financialization and by like building with debt, and like seeing Terra Luna go from like $100 to like $1 or whatever it is now. Like it shows you like these financial tools can be very powerful, but they can also be dangerous if not used well too. So I just felt like that was a helpful thing to put in there, that people like Dan Larimer in the community are very aware of this, and there's a lot of wisdom in the EOS community. And also kind of going back to what we talk about, how like EOS is a 4-year battle tested blockchain, and like the powers in the community, like there's a lot of value in EOS that's being built up, like not with debt and financialization, that's being built on a more stable base, like for long-term growth. So I feel like that's a helpful thing to keep in mind, that it really differentiates EOS from projects like Luna as well. So I'm also very excited for EOS with the EOS Plus initiative and so many other exciting things going on to grow and use financial tools to help grow it immensely. But I feel like we're working with like a really great base, and we also have like these experiences and the community wisdom to help guide us to use these tools to help grow EOS in a really sustainable way that will help everybody.
Great, thanks for sharing, Dogman. I will have to remove some of you guys from speaker because I think we've got a limit. I'm not sure. So if you get removed from speaker and you want to speak again, feel free to jump in. I'm reading the text chat on Discord. A lot of activity out there. You know, loving the engagement today. Aaron shared a screenshot, and it looks like this Twitter Spaces is translating my text into German. I'm not sure if that's shown up for everyone. That's probably linked to Jana, who's helping us host this event. She's German, so maybe it has something to do with those settings. Anyways, this is our first time hosting a Twitter Spaces, so bear with us if you know, if Twitter Spaces makes me a German for a bit. One more thing I wanted to mention about Luna, and I'm wondering actually what you guys think. So for those of you who are listening in and also in Discord, you know, some of my friends were mentioning, you know, that this feels like an institutional attack. You know, many of us have probably read these Twitter rumors about like BlackRock, like was mentioned. They borrowed BTC, they sold that BTC to Terra in exchange for UST in order to put in a short on BTC and then dump the UST to create panic, and you know, that whole angle, which, you know, it's possible that that's what happened. You know, and now people are wondering, like, or there was a discussion, you know, in one of my chats, and is this market manipulation? You know, is this illegal? Is this an illegal move on the part of the institutions? So obviously, I'm not very familiar in what's legal or not in terms of these market technicalities. But in the Discord chat, I'd like to know what you think. So if you think this is illegal market manipulation by institutions, type in the number 1. And if you don't think it is, if you don't think it's illegal, maybe it's manipulation or whatever, maybe it's trades with the intentions of, you know, influencing the market, but that may or may not be illegal. If you don't think it's illegal, put a 0 in the chat. on Discord. So I'm curious to see kind of where the opinions fall for you guys on that. And another note on the institutional attack, a lot of people are saying like, oh no, how can the institutions do this to all these, regular holders, that may have had their life savings in Luna. We've all seen a lot of these stories on Twitter, I'm sure, about people absolutely devastated, losing more than they could afford to lose, basically thinking they were in a safe stable coin when it was actually not a safe stable coin. And while I do feel really bad for everyone that has endured some catastrophic losses in the last 24 hours, and I'm sure a lot of these people are going to swear off crypto forever, kind of what happened with Mt. Gox, like Daniel was referring earlier. I know some people that were in Bitcoin super early, and then they got so grossed out by the Mt. Gox, by their loss on Mt. Gox, that they kind of stepped away from the industry, and then costing them even more missed gains opportunities if they would have stayed. So, I think it's really sad that a lot of regular people got wrecked. A lot of them were probably going to leave the crypto industry for a long time. They're going to have a bad taste in their mouth. They're going to trash talk crypto to friends and family, which is obviously unfortunate. But, if we're going to be building these fragile Ponzi-nomic financial systems in crypto, we better be ready for, institutions and large traders and large whales to attack them as hard as they can, and to try to find out if they're sustainable or not. So, maybe it was BlackRock or Citadel or whatever that triggered, the crash of the last few days. But maybe it would have happened anyways at a later time. So personally, I don't necessarily feel like this is BlackRock or Citadel's fault, as much as I may not like their strategies and, the impact that they have in the general financial markets. I don't blame traders trying to, trade hard in the markets and create favorable situations for them. I tried to short Luna, a month and a half ago. I would have, that's not necessarily market manipulation. I understand that these guys are much bigger, and if they're running bot farms on Twitter to spread FUD at the same time that they activate their shorts, then absolutely that's illegal market manipulation. But selling BTC to Do Kwon and then using that UST to try to dump on his project, can't really be surprised that this type of activity is going on. So when you're building these protocols, this has to be, taken into consideration. And, I'm sure the crypto space is going to learn a lot from these events. And hopefully, the next algo stablecoin project that becomes real popular is more resilient and less prone to a crash. Although I'm sure there will be more epic crashes in these types of projects.
And going back to the Wire
so
article that we started with, I think the EOS community is pretty well battle tested. I think we're going to be pretty more skeptical and vigilant than the average crypto community, given what we've gone through together. So that gives us a bit of a community advantage.
Absolutely. And, the fact that EOS has been building DeFi, but still not going too crazy into the pump and dump tokenomic structures, and trying to build a resilient layer one, which has been attacked over the last few years. And we have improved the network to be more resilient to these attacks. And all that combining together, I think, is a plus for EOS during these turbulent times. Whereas, people know what to expect from EOS. They know it's not going to be shut down for 24 plus hours because the network is too congested, and then BPs have to coordinate a restart of the network like had happened on Solana recently. Of course, now Luna, we've got an epic thermonuclear Ponzi implosion example. So these are things that are not happening on EOS, and hopefully investors in the blockchain space recognize that these solid layer ones that have been around for a long time, maybe they start to be more valued in the eyes of investors. And so combine that with the upcoming EVM launch, and I think it actually puts EOS in a decent position. I'm sure you guys have noticed on Twitter, people have been mentioning, that for the first time in a while, EOS is now moving up the ranks, on CoinGecko instead of moving down the ranks, at the same time as this whole turbulent market is going on. So, which I think kind of agrees with the thesis here I just presented. So looking at the Discord chat, I see about 10 zeros and 1 I for indeterminate in terms of, was this illegal maneuvers by an institution or not? So, I also agree with that. I don't think it was an illegal play. People try to exploit DeFi protocols on chain, off chain. This is kind of what we sign up when we join the blockchain space at still an early stage in the development. All right. Anyone else want to share some thoughts on the thermonuclear implosion of Luna? I'll play a bit of elevator music, and feel free to request a spot on the stage here if you want to share some thoughts. So, we've got Rec Kid in the Discord saying, the whole BlackRock thing is a conspiracy theory and no one knows what happened. That's right. There's no confirmation yet. But obviously, we're going to speculate about what might have happened. Drew says it might be illegal if it was true, but he's not convinced. Someone else, Tony, says probably legal, but doubtful that it's moral. Francis coming in with there's no regulation, it's all legal, wild, wild west, let's go. Okay. Any speakers? No requests. I'm gonna keep reading the Discord chat for a bit and share some more comments on the topic in just a few seconds. MoZDS claiming that this is war. Companies like BlackRock, JP Morgan, banking cartels, they've never wanted us. That's definitely true for sure. And, I'm not surprised to see that institutions, central banks, they're firing back, they're fighting back. They want to keep control of the monetary system, of course. And I assume most people in crypto are in here because we want to take back that power and give it back to the people, instead of having unelected bureaucrats getting to decide, the price of the most important product on the earth, and that's money. The price of money through interest rates, which is not determined by the free market; it's determined by a few people around the table. Of course, they're going to say that they do a better job than, for example, some thermonuclear Ponzi's like Luna, and they're going to point to that example relentlessly. But that's not the only thing that's being built in crypto. So hopefully these different models, continue to strengthen, continue to grow in adoption. And hopefully eventually we're able to wrestle back control of the global financial system through these crypto experiments that we're building and a part of. Gonfloaska likes the term thermonuclear Ponzi. I like it too. There was even a typo, or I don't know if it's typo on purpose, but they called it a thermonuclear Ponzu, which gives even greater meme power. But obviously, not a funny topic and it's not a positive day for the blockchain space. So I'm trying not to laugh at it too much. All right, so we can move on to some other topics, but of course, feel free if you guys have some comments at a later time, you want to throw it back, always, that's always possible during the open mic session there at the end of the show. So let's maybe talk a bit about some Eden updates. Do we have Chuck MacDonald in the house? Yes, we do. I'm going to invite you to speak, Chuck. And there you go. I don't know if you're with us right now. You've got your mic set up. Okay, I see you've accepted the speaker position. Welcome to the stage. Yeah. Let us know some Eden updates once you figure out your speaker situation.
Hello.
There you go. You're live on Twitter Spaces.
This is amazing. Thank you so much.
How you doing, Chuck?
Oh, pretty good, man. Yeah, just watching this meteor shower all around us, and hoping not to get hit by it too bad. But anyway, I'm pretty sure that.
Yeah, best of luck.
Yeah, thank you. I'm pretty sure that EOS is going to still be here tomorrow, and I think we're in pretty good shape now. People are going to pay attention to us now. So I didn't bring it up, my comment on the Wired article, because I knew I was going to be speaking, but I just wanted to mention that I thought it was a very well-written article. It was really refreshing to see something well-written finally about EOS. And it brought hope that that we're going to see more quality journalism coming out there. I know that we've got community members already who are quality journalists, but it's nice to see mainstream media pick it up, and it was really great. And yeah, so Eden, for anybody who's listening who doesn't know anything about Eden, again, it's another sort of cutting edge blockchain technology that we're trying to build. And it is a consensus method that uses a political playoffs system where you divide a group of like-minded people together. You put them in one room at the same time, divide them up randomly into different tables or groups, and then they each have a chat about which of their small groups, so like 5 or 6 people, which one in each group gets to move on to represent that small group. So, and then they move on to the next level, and then they have a political playoffs round, and they get elected. And by the end of it, you've got a hierarchy of your members who have been formed together into a group. And in Eden, we call them delegates. Basically, the community is delegating responsibility to these people to act in the best interest of the community. So it's all based on a book by Dan Larimer called More Equal Animals, and it's a system that it's written in a very hopeful way, and it could change the world. It could change politics. It could change the way that organizations run their own internal structures. It could change a lot of things. And Eden on EOS was started up by this group of like-minded people, and it was given funding by the network to basically go, and not too many strings were attached to it, and not much direction other than here, just do what you're going to do. And so the Eden process is alive and well, and we had our second general election April 9th, and we are working towards building out the organization so that we can have some more tangible results for the organization itself. And we're empowering the organization's members to act freely in the EOS community to make EOS a better place, a better network, and hopefully we're all working together to make the Eden organization itself a better, stronger place. So that's for the people who don't know anything about Eden. And what the news, that the stuff that we're working on, particularly at the chief delegate level, we've got weekly meetings that happen usually Thursdays. You can find them all online. We've got them all recorded and they're all out there. And I'm sure somebody could drop some link somewhere. I'm sitting in my car on a telephone right now instead of in front of my computer, but there's lots of resources right now to find out what's going on in the organization. And what we're doing.
How many times per week are you guys meeting as chief delegates?
Well, it seems like sometimes the whole week is just one big meeting. But we're meeting formally and recording the video once a week. But it's nonstop chat back and forth amongst us. There's 5 of us, and everybody's got their own ideas about how things, about the kind of potential that Eden has. But basically, we've decided to work together to create some sort of persistent roles or offices or spheres or whatever we're going to call them, as I say. And the first sphere would be the technical sphere, and it's we have to get a handle on the Eden's code. We have to get a handle on like technically what we can and can't do, and what it's going to cost us to make changes, and maybe it would be really great to share this technology with the world, and maybe Eden can help to make that happen. But the next stuff we're talking about is like maybe an office that would be for engagement of our members. So like better communications, maybe media, stuff like that. And again, we're still just sort of hashing it out, but stay tuned and definitely follow that message.
So these offices or roles, you say they'd be persistent across elections. So are you kind of envisioning that people who do get elected as chief delegates kind of take on one of these persistent roles, or is it anyone that gets elected that can have these roles?
Well, not really, because like not everybody is suited to do these things, right? And like in a lot of cases, like organizations have things that they want to accomplish, but their elected leadership isn't capable of doing it, right? So we have to be able to identify what we want to happen, and then put an invitation out to Eden's membership, who are insanely skilled, right? We've got a whole bunch of talented people in our organization, and we have to put out the call to have basically a working group begun, maybe like led by maybe one person who can then choose a team, something like that. We're still sorting it out, but we need to have a group that can act without without using the elected delegates themselves as the workers, because I mean there will be times when elected delegates are going to be able to take these roles, but they're going to have to apply for them, right? So there's going to be an application process, and the lead for each of these spheres ideally would be able to they'd be capable of judging who is competent to take on these positions. So the positions ideally would be staggered across election terms. So we say if we hire people to do a job, they would carry on, say, to the middle of the next term or something, and then they would have to be there would be a ongoing performance review, and they would have to justify the work that they've done and performance for Eden. So the Eden members would all be watching very closely the progress that these working groups or spheres make, and ideally it would be very, very transparent and accountable.
Right on. I know you guys also ratified the previous recommendations from the chief delegates, or I'm not sure the exact word there. So then the next election is on July 9th. Is that right?
That's correct. Yep. So we just we ratified the bylaws at the last meeting, and they're in effect now.
Okay, great. So July 9th, so in about 2 months, the next election is happening. I personally am a fan of quicker elections in Eden. I think 3 months is a good rhythm, which also may coincide with the next Pomelo season as well, which we're aiming to have them happen every 3 months as well. So, okay, cool. So you've got the offices that you guys are kind of trying to determine how that structure is going to work for these persistent roles. You've ratified the recommendations from the previous chief delegates. Is there another big item on that you guys are doing right now?
If I had any notes prepared, I might be able to tell you, but I can't. I honestly can't think of anything right now other than watching my kids fight with each other right now. And
sure, no problem. I know just setting up these offices or these persistent roles must be a fairly time-consuming task, but I think it's important. I think it's going to bring a good amount of value to the Eden ecosystem. Does anyone want to speak? Oh, I see Dogman raise his hand. Excellent. Twitter Spaces veteran right here. Go for it, Dogman.
Yep, I know all the buttons. So yeah, thanks Chuck for explaining that and sharing a great overview and update about Eden. And yeah, add on a couple of things that I don't think that Chuck mentioned. So one, I see Bywire News is in the audience. So I'm assuming that's probably Michael O'Sullivan, who's also a chief delegate in Eden. And one thing that we just started doing last week that's really cool and really exciting, and similar to this EOS Fireside chat in ways, because it's Twitter Space for Eden. So last, I think it was Friday, or I don't remember the day, Saturday, I believe, we met for the first Bywire Eden town hall, and we spoke for probably about an hour and a half or so. And I was one of the co-hosts, along with Joshua Seymour and Felix Ruiz, who are both in the chat as well. And Michael and Chuck was speaking quite a bit, and Chris and Lovejoy and many other people who are active in the Eden community. So it was a really great conversation. It was the first time we kind of jumped right into it and organized it pretty quickly, but I think it went really well. And we're looking to, well, I think that Michael is planning to organize these once a week or maybe twice a week. So that'll be a great opportunity for people to learn about Eden. During the first one, the topic was mostly focused around like what Eden means to each member and what it could mean to help shape the future of democracy and governance. So, yep, some good topics, some big topics, and the recording is available on the Bywire channel or on the Bywire Twitter account. And I think Michael said he's going to post it on YouTube and stuff like that, so people can listen to that to hear it. And then, yeah, I believe it'll be every Sunday, actually. Yeah, I messed up. It was actually Sunday at noon, which is something like 13 UTC, but I might be totally wrong about the times. But yeah, it was a great conversation, and I'm looking forward to the future ones. And so that was really cool. And then also, well, actually, I see Stephane, you were unmuting, so I'll stop before I continue. I was going to say one other thing quickly, but I'll pause though.
No, go for it. I'm just working my soundboard and my mics and stuff. All good. Keep going.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Yeah, and I'd also love to hear from any other Eden members too, if anybody else wants to share. But the one other thing I was going to say too is this morning we met Chuck and Joshua and Marco and a few other people met for an Eden contributor call, or like called Empowering Eden Contributors, that Joshua has been holding for Eden members. And we've been doing this for the past, I think, 3 weeks now. So we were talking about a lot of interesting, exciting ideas. And one of the discussion topics was also doing the Eden process more often, like Chuck was just talking about. So yeah, there's lots of other things going on with Eden, and it's very exciting. I think Chuck gave a great overview. We can keep talking about it a lot more, of course, in future times. I'm looking forward to the town halls and these meetings, but I figured those were good things to share with the community and share those updates.
Absolutely. Thanks for jumping in. So before we continue, just want to give you guys one last chance to join the Twitter giveaway for a pop token. So I'm about to do the snapshot. What you need to do is you need to retweet the tweet from ENF from earlier this morning. It says retweet contest in it. And you need to leave a comment, tag some people, and leave your EOS account as a comment in the comments. And then the bounty block tool is going to be able to pick that up. And then I'll be sending out pop tokens to everyone who participates in that retweet contest, and as well everyone who participates to sign up for the pop token in the Discord chat. Yeah, I guess Dogman, maybe you can talk a bit about the hot sauce that you're hosting these days. Maybe some people would like to know a bit more.
Sure. Yes, I'd be happy to. Thanks, Stephane. So, yeah, I've been hosting the hot sauce for probably about 2 months now or so, and we're going to have the next episode this Friday. We do live episodes every Friday at 16 UTC, and we cover the top stories in EOS and all the different exciting news. We generally aim to keep it pretty short so that people can get like a quick summary. There's, of course, a lot of stuff going on in the EOS ecosystem, and it can be difficult or really impossible to keep up with it all. So we do research and try to break it down for you simply. And it's an audio show. It's also a visual show where we show lots of different tweets and websites and cool visuals that different projects are building. So you can listen and you can also watch to see the projects as they go along. We have show notes so you can explore the links afterwards. Yeah, and it's great. I've been enjoying it greatly, and I'm super appreciative to the EOS Nation team for giving me the opportunity to host it, and for everybody in the audience and the community who's been joining and sharing a lot of great enthusiasm. It's been really fun and support and great ideas and things like that. So really excited for the future of hot sauce, and really thankful for everybody so far. And yeah, I encourage everybody to listen and check it out and watch and share with friends, because there's a lot of great stuff going on with the EOS community that we're featuring in the EOS hot sauce. And yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Oops, that was my wrong clapping emoji. But yeah, no, I think you've been doing a great job at the for the hot sauce. And you know, when Dogman says that we try to keep it short, what he means is I keep telling Dogman to try to aim for 20 minutes, and then there's just too much going on for him to keep it to 20 minutes. And then we always end up going longer, especially these last few weeks. There's just been a lot of great news to cover. And so, but what I'd like, you know, my vision, let's say, for hot sauce is that it'd be a quicker show, you know, where you get a rundown of all the news of the week. And whereas this fireside chat is more of a longer show where we can really dive deep into how we, you know, our thoughts and comments about all these various topics. But yeah, good job, Dogman, on hosting the hot sauce, and, you know, invite everyone to subscribe to our YouTube channel at the EOS Nation YouTube channel. And then that's where we post our hot sauce live episodes every Friday at noon Eastern.
Sounds great. Thanks so much, Stephane. And one other thing that I want to add too is that we just did the 150th episode of Hot Sauce. So that's like a pretty cool number. And I just want to also say a big thanks to Stephane and Daniel Keys and Martin, because you guys did a lot of awesome shows throughout this whole period. So like, it's pretty epic what we have going on with Hot Sauce. So thanks so much. And, yeah, looking forward to more. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, shout out to Yana, who's on the production tables for the hot sauce every week, helping us stream. Shout out to Martin, who's been kind of co-writing it with me for, well, the last 3 years, until Dogman recently took over. I'm hoping that Martin's on a little vacation right now, well overdue vacation for him, and I'm hoping he'll be more active in these community chats in the future. He might be in a more friendly time zone to join us. All right, so yeah, last call for the Twitter contest. I'll be taking the snapshot in like just a minute. All right, we can move on to some Pomelo updates. There's not too much to share, other than you know, we've completed the draft, at least a draft version, a solid draft version of our season 2 analysis, where we dive deep into all the donations and the projects and try to identify potential cyber attacks. So we'll be translating that article over the next few days, and we're aiming to publish it early next week. So we'll be, like I said, sharing some information on some grants that we suspect have tried to cyber attack the system. And then there's going to be a 1 week period where people can send in comments or appeal our potential decision. And then after that 1 week process, the matching numbers are going to be finalized, and grant owners will be able to claim their matching funds. Quick reminder, grant owners, you do need to KYC in order to claim some matching funds. I know that was kind of not all the grant owners were aware of this over the last few weeks, and I spoke to a few of you. So just wanted to remind you of that. All right. EOS support is conducting a survey. Do we have Dario in the house? Maybe he can talk a bit about the survey, or someone else from EOS support that helped create it. I'm not sure if they're here. So I'm just going to give a quick rundown. It's a survey that aims to just get some feedbacks from developers in the EOS community. So if you're a developer in the EOS community, please check out the EOS support Twitter account. The links to the surveys are there. They've been posted in on Telegram, on Discord as well. I will reshare the links in the Discord chat right now if some of you wanted to fill it out. If you are a developer, I know you're very busy. All these blue papers, these initiatives, these projects you guys are all building, which is super important, but please take a few minutes to fill out the survey. It is important for the EOS community to kind of know what the app developers their pain points and what they'd like to see in the future, and that will impact the decisions that the networks takes in the coming weeks and months.
I can add some flavor on that. If I'm not mistaken, this is the survey related to Mandel, where the ENF in particular, they're right now working on the next version of EOSIO. Right now we're calling Mandel. And as we're wrapping up development, they're interested to know what platform EOS developers develop in, so that they can tailor the kind of development environment that's going to be coming with Mandel to our developers. So, asking, are you a Mac developer or a Windows developer? And do you develop in a native environment or in a Docker or in the web IDE? These are all the sort of questions we have for smart contract developers in particular, as we prepare the development environment for Mandel.
Beautiful. Thanks for that extra context, Daniel. And are there any kind of Mandel upgrade updates maybe you'd like to share with the group as well?
Yeah, happy to. So yeah, again, for those who are not familiar, again, Mandel is going to be the first community version of EOSIO. Until now, the EOS network's always been running Block 1's version of EOSIO. So that we're preparing to basically fork off of the Block 1's code and take the code base back into our own hands. And Mandel's gonna be the first version of that. It's essentially EOS 2.0 with the features we like from 2.1 without the crap that was specifically for bullish. We left that out. And adding some new features from API Plus Blue Paper, some transaction lifecycle improvements. OCI team has been working on that. There's going to be some of these features are going to require a consensus upgrade. So basically that means we're going to have to be well coordinated as we upgrade together, because anyone who's not any node that's running on EOS that hasn't upgraded alongside when the consensus upgrade happens would be essentially forked off the network. So this is similar to the 1.8 upgrade we did maybe 2 years ago or so now. I lost track of time.
Yeah, I've actually gotten a few questions about this upcoming EOS hard fork. And it's not everyone that's aware that, there's no new tokens being created here in this hard fork, not like the Bitcoin Cash hard fork. This is the same. There's no new tokens. It's the same token. Yeah, exactly. So it's really relevant to all the node operators. They need to upgrade their nodes in order to remain in consensus with the network.
Yeah, that's right. Basically, if you don't upgrade when everyone else does, your app's going to break. So you want to make sure you're upgraded and tested well ahead of time. So we're aiming for September 24th, if I remember correctly, is when we're aiming for the consensus upgrade. Will likely be upgraded to Mandel well before then. So the way that it works is, the BPs, everyone can upgrade to the latest software without activating the consensus features. So we're going to be looks very likely that by the end of May or early June, the software, the new version Mandel 3.1 is what we're calling it, will be ready to be tested in its entirety on Jungle or whatever testnets we want to test it on. We're already, EOS Nation, Matthew in particular, has been already testing the latest features as they become available. So he's already testing the new transaction lifecycle improvements, and everything so far so good, looking like it's likely that we'll BPs will be able to start testing and upgrading, in June. And like I said, the big day to keep in mind for app developers and exchanges is September 24th, when they need to make sure they've upgraded by that time. And yeah, we'll be sending out more information. EOS support's has been doing a great job getting in touch and basically finding points of contact at all of the exchanges and the DApp developers. So we'll be sending emails with further instructions. And we've been meeting once a week. We have a working group formed. We've got between 15 and 25 people joining the calls every week from various DApp teams, block producers, the EOS support, the ENF, and I think this was the 14th week we met today, and we'll continue meeting every week until the consensus upgrade.
Great, thanks for that, sharing that information. Just as a quick reminder, every week, there's the Mandel meeting. There's a video posted on the Everything EOS YouTube channel. We've got timestamps and topics, all ready for you guys fairly quickly. So you can always go to the Everything EOS YouTube channel to see these updates for Mandel, for Coalition Plus as well, which is the EOSIO coalition. Same thing, weekly videos uploaded to YouTube with comments, with timestamps and topics. Yves, I noticed you joined back onto the stage. Did you want to add some thoughts on Mandel or EOSIO Plus?
No, just that the verbiage that we use, we specifically avoid a hard fork because a hard fork typically in other ecosystems has a particular meaning which is not the same in EOS. EOS essentially forks continuously. EOS has gone through multiple forks. Every time that there's, in a way, a change on a network parameter change, that's a soft fork. And so instead of using the term hard fork, which then confuses people, and that's why they ask you about, is there going to be a new token? It's a consensus upgrade. Again, simply because hard fork means something very specific to 99% of blockchain users, and it is not the case in EOS, which is one of the functions or features of EOS. That's kind of one of the great things or features about it. So September 23rd is a consensus upgrade. Prior to that, the Mandel release should be out in its final format, which is not a consensus upgrade. It's simply a new version of the software, which would be, I guess, equivalent to a soft fork. That should be out perhaps in June. So yes, I would stop referring to hard fork, that it is not a hard fork in the sense that people typically refer to it as.
Great, consensus upgrade. I like it. More specific verbiage.
And it literally requires the block producers to achieve consensus to turn on that function, right? So those functions that that would likely be turned on September 23rd currently already exist. If we wanted to, it would require consensus. And so the idea is give ample time for the network to test those features and to come to consensus, but more importantly, give ample time for everybody to know that those functions will be enabled months in advance, so that they should be switching on to the version of the code that actually supports that feature well before that happens. But yes, it is literally a consensus upgrade, so it's not just playing with words.
Great, I'm gonna add that to the title of this chat right now. Oh, no, I can't. Character limits. All right, cool. Thanks for that information, guys. Okay, what do we have here on my list of topics? I guess, one small thing about Pomelo that I forgot to mention, the trust bonus. You can still apply your trust bonus to your account, connecting your socials, scanning your passport with port, going to give you a bonus and make it that your donations are more impactful when we apply the matching amounts. So that's still available if you haven't done that yet. I'd strongly encourage you to do so. It's a great way to help defend against cyber attacks, is having verified users have more weight on the platform. Also, Denis talked a bit about Yield Plus, but I also wanted to mention next week, we should see the ENF or the Yield Plus working group should be publishing a one-pager, kind of giving the big picture of what Yield Plus is all about. And then the following week should have the blue paper be released. I'm not sure if the amount of pages has been modified since the last updates I got, but last I heard it was around 50 pages. So it's definitely a beast of a blue paper, going deep into all sorts of impacts that this Yield Plus, these Yield Plus proposals are going to have. Like we mentioned last week, Phantom had a similar incentive, DeFi incentive program release. Their whole publication was just a one-page blog post, and so the team at Yield Plus definitely went much deeper than that, and they're publishing a beast of a blue paper. I'll be going through it, and then we'll be hosting a Kahoot quiz on Discord at some point. For the community to come learn about the blue paper and flex their knowledge for those who are in already.
I can blah 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 blah. There's a delay, I guess, in the sound and afterwards. Give a little very short update on EOSIO coalition. We should be in a position to present. You might want to mute yourself there, co-host. We should be in a position to present to the larger coalition group the result of the 2.5-3 month branding initiative to rebrand EOSIO itself within the next couple of weeks. And so we are down to a few general directions and ideas. And so as the sub-working group working on that, I'm a member of that sub-working group. We, within that sub-working group, should receive kind of a few options in the next week or so. What we have so far are kind of general themes of words, general themes of ideas to latch onto and what they represent throughout that exercise that we went through, as well as more visual aids, representatives of the direction for the branding that we could head in. And so that has kind of combined into an overall potential look and feel for EOSIO. And as I said, we should be getting kind of the final 3 type of thing in the next week or 2. And then that'll be presented to the general coalition. And so we should have that somewhat public, I would say, within the next month or so.
And does the branding involve animals or swear words?
Animals were presented, but if I recall correctly, there was very little appetite for the animals that were presented and what that represented. In terms of swear words, no, there are no swear words. And so for those of you looking for fuck horse, it is not one of the contenders. But for those who know, fuck horse will forever remain.
For the true OGs of EOS that are deep in the weeds, it's going to remain in the meme world of EOS forever.
Correct. Yes.
Shout out to that AI for creating that hilarious word. All right, so yeah, that kind of wraps up most of the topics that I had taken notes on. So I'll play a bit of elevator music, but I really encourage you guys to jump in, just say hi, maybe share a thought on any of the topics we've covered so far, or ask a question about another topic. The mic is yours. All right, well, if there's not any more comments, I guess we're going to wrap it up. Thank you, everyone, for joining the first EOS Fireside Chat on Twitter Spaces. I think this was a success. We had a few technical issues, but that's kind of to be expected. Hopefully next week it'll be a bit smoother. So we'll be doing, again, the Fireside Chat on Twitter next week. We got up to over 70 people, I think, at one point, which is great to see. And it's going to be kind of the same setup where if you want to send in some questions by text, you can do that in the stream chat, or jump in on the audio with us on stage in the Twitter Spaces. So I guess our usual Go EOS sign off is not going to work out because I can't invite all of you as a speaker. So I'm going to run it myself. Thanks for joining, everyone. Have a good night and go EOS.
Go EOS.